Welcome, everybody. Great to have you joining us here on this beautiful desert afternoon at the Utah Motorsports campus just west of Salt Lake City, in between the Oquirrh and Stansbury Mountain Range, for the Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix of Utah, presented by Security National Mortgage. And we have an afternoon that is going to be absolutely non-stop racing to bring you. And we're looking forward to that. Certainly, we're going to be starting, as you can see, a huge grid. This is only a small portion of this combined Touring Car A, Touring Car B field. And the story here is Touring Car. There are some 33 entries here in Touring Car alone that we are looking forward to seeing take the green flag today. It is a massive field. I mean, you can see it almost stretches back into the pit-in curve area here at Utah Motorsports campus. Of course, this is just a phenomenal facility, just over 3 miles in length. We're running the outer course, which ends up with 15 counted corners, and they are beautiful. And it's all anchored on one of the longest straights they will run on the season, 3,500 feet. And the only thing that has a higher number than the number of feet in the straight is the altitude of feet here. We're at about 4,400 feet of altitude, which, of course, puts a lot of different effects into driver and car alike. With the thin air, the drivers are breathing a little thinner air, and you've got to be mindful of that. You evaporate fluids off a lot quicker. So obviously, from a driver's perspective, even more important to be hydrated. It's 90-plus degrees here, warm one today, absolutely gorgeous. And it is that dry desert heat, but that means things evaporate off. But for cars, it makes them all the more susceptible to overheating, because in the thinner air and the drier air, you don't, the dry is nice, but the thin, you don't get the cooling effect anywhere near as much. Things evaporate off too quick, and you just don't get the cooling effect flowing through the radiators as much. And, of course, if it's thin air, it means that the engines aren't breathing as well because the air is a little bit less dense, and that makes a significant difference here as well. And the track itself is a challenge. It is in a desert, and you can see just off to the left of the screen there, if you run wide onto that, that's Great Salt Desert, and some of that, they call it here the Tuella dust, it easily gets up on the track, and so as a race goes on, the track can get slipperier and thus trickier. It is a lot of fun and a great challenge, and we're looking forward to bringing it to you here. I was just doing a quick tabulation here. We may be setting sort of a world record. The BMW M235IR, or iRacing, BMW was originally designed to compete in a spec category that's part of the Germans' VLN series, which is anchored around the legendary Nordschleife of the Nürburgring, but there are other venues as well. But it was designed as a spec class to run in that championship. To date, the largest number of M235IRs to ever start a race anywhere in the world has been 19 in one race group. We have on the grid here right now 21. So assuming they all take the green flag, that will be the most ever for the BMW M235IR, which Toby Grahovic, who now carries the number 1, took to the championship last year. So we have a potential record coming here. How exciting is that? Really, really anxious about that. But the interesting thing with the onslaught of the BMWs, the front row, Paul Holton, the points leader in his Audi RS3 LMS Club Sport from C360R Racing, and alongside in his Brass Monkey Racing Nissan 370Z of Tony Rivera. So interesting times, and it's about to unfold, and that means it's time for us to get to the front of the grid for that special command and Jeff Lepper.
That's right. We are on the grid of the Utah Motorsports campus for the beginning of the Pirelli World Challenge, the Grand Prix of Utah, and with the auspicious job of calling those engines to life is Jeff with the Pirelli World Challenge.
Thank you. So on behalf of Pirelli Tires North America and Optima Batteries and all of our great friends that are here at Utah Motorsports campus with Security National Mortgage, drivers, start your engines.
And here it comes. Field's going to be springing to life. It is a big one. When you take a look at the full count of cars, it is 48 cars, deep. And I'll tell you, this is going to be absolutely a stunner to watch unfold here. In the touring car class alone, 28 cars will be starting. Then you've got another huge chunk of cars, 20, I'm looking at the numbers here, 12 of them in the Touring Car A category and another 4 in Touring Car B. So a big field here in qualifying. That happened earlier this morning, was really interesting. We saw a lot of BMWs flip-flopping times, drivers moving up, dropping back as other drivers would come into play. But Paul Holton went out and early set his pole lap on the 3rd lap, then did just a couple more easy laps, realized that nobody was really getting within. He's 0.35 of a second clear of everybody, and pitted because you have to start the race on the tires you qualify on. And so he wisely, it's a great strategy move, just to park that car and save those tires. Now, you take a look at the vehicle that's leading the field around. We're very happy to announce that for the Pirelli World Challenge Touring Car Championship for the rest of the season, the new pace and safety car is the 2017 Honda Civic Hatchback Sport. And you see it here, leading the field around. We're very, very pleased with that announcement, bringing the field around for the touring cars. We welcome Honda as our official pace and safety vehicle. Absolutely fantastic, and looking forward to it. Here we got a couple of Hondas racing, a couple of them running in the touring car race, one in particular that we'll be keeping a close eye on, and that belongs to Carl Whitmer. There's a couple of them, though, that are the new 27 Honda Civic SI that is actually racing in the touring car A category. Tom O'Gorman, who of course very involved with the Honda program, racing with Shea Racing in his Grid Life Carbotech Brakes Honda Civic SI. Grid Life, by the way, it is a pretty impressive event, and it's an open to the public event. Music, drifting, time attack, high performance driving education, autocross, all in the same event. Tom O'Gorman is the pro driver that connects motorsports to an automotive lifestyle. It's called Grid Life, and their billboard event, Grid Life South, is coming up in Road Atlanta, August 25th to 27th. If you're in that area, you may want to check that out. It's pretty impressive. And you'll see Tom and his Honda Civic will be there as well. Shea Holbrook, who of course is the principal of Shea Racing, has started this season running in the touring car class, but she has stepped back because they wanted to further develop this 2017 Honda Civic SI. So she has stepped back and will be running here, certainly, and perhaps for the rest of the season, in touring car A, and showing that she hasn't forgotten how to drive a touring car A car, which she had a lot of success in the past. Put it on pole in touring car A, so a great run for her. Whitmer, of course, is driving the car his brother Nick ran last year, the Honda Accord from Honda San Rose. So there you see the 71 Pfaff Auto, beautiful Audi of Paul Holton from C360R, the Red Brass Monkey Racing Nissan of Tony Rivera alongside, leading this big field around at this point. As I said, Shea Holbrook putting her Honda Civic on pole in the TCA category, defending champion and points leader Elevan Goulart in his SAC Racing. Mazda Global MX-5 Cup car qualified outside of the front row in the TCA A category. Kenny Murillo, he's a good story. We'll be talking more about him as this race unfolds here. Qualified 3rd. Really neat development in 5th. Another story, Craig Stanton in the new Toyota TMG 86 Cup car. First ever appearance in road racing, I think globally, certainly in North America, puts it 5th in qualifying. Pretty impressive stuff. And with a last lap flyer in qualifying, Kanan O'Connell put his Tech Sport Chevy Sonic on the touring car B pole. Pace car is in. We are racing. Green flag flies. 40 minutes of competition, 3 different classes. And you can see the touring cars had their own little start. Very smart. The other 2 classes just built themselves a little gap so that they could just go after it here. And Tony Rivera trying to outleg the Audi down into turn 1, but Holton uber deep on the brakes. And I really think, way too deep on the brakes. And a couple of people, I think a little target fixation, Jeff Lepper following Holton off. Oh man, 3, 4, 5 cars involved in the mix, and there's that Tuella dust.
Yeah, Salas got sideways there, hit by JT Copel. JT Copel was coming back down to the inside, and major impact we had there as we see our TCA cars coming through. Now they're under green, so they're assuming that everything's good. They get down to that corner, and there's a big yellow flag there, but big, you see right there, there's that incident right there with JT Copel.
Just came spearing back across, didn't he? Yeah.
Auto Technique BMW that was a part of that as well.
Yeah, and a couple other cars involved in there. Boy, that was That was a rough run, obviously. And Holton, one of the things that Audi has going for it, it has tremendous downforce. It's a very aero car, and I think he was, thought he was okay carrying that speed in. I think he turned in maybe a little early, and once you float wide and you get in that twirl of dust on the outside, see ya.
It sure is, and I think that was Nemkov that made contact with JT Kopel and into Salas with no fault of his own, but it was Gregory Leafouge getting the jump, able to get around Tony Rivera. Then we saw the problems with Paul Holton there that happened a little bit earlier there in turn 1. Toby Grahovic into 3rd place. Great run for him, and in a superb start, the number 81 by Ruud.
Yeah, and he had a great qualifying run too, didn't he? Put in a superb lap, ending up in the 6th spot. But there you see the number 8 sitting there, Rodrigo Sales.
And Henry Schmidt, it looks like he's
too,
there. The number 87 BMW also tangled up in this. And very unfortunate with all those cars getting together there in turn number 1. And got our Cadillac Escalade's medical car there, medical vehicle right on scene, making sure that all the drivers are okay. Probably not very big hit. You never want to assume anything, but it should be okay. And trying to see if they can actually get going underway. I think they're trying to say, well, what's the damage to my car? I don't want to get out. Let's pull me back and we can get underway.
Yeah, let me know what's exactly. Let me know what's going. You can see some damage certainly to the front of Kopel's entry there on the left front corner, and there you see the number 8 of Rodrigo. Now, you never like to see a caution, but to put a little bit of a silver lining on it means we get to see that beautiful 2017 Honda Civic hatchback Sport a little more.
The little pace car there leading, finally getting that out here. And of course, Tom O'Gorman competing in the Civic Si, gets to campaign that car all race long. And this JT Kopel's car, of course, prepped out of the Berg Racing stable. And unfortunately, just a bummer of a day in the test day here Thursday with team principal John Weisberg having a problem with his car and not able to compete here in that Mazda MX-5, which he actually won the race here last season, defending race winner with his engine problems. So now they have a damaged car. They have to go back and try to get ready for the afternoon race, which is a key here, Greg, is that there's a race about 5 hours from now that they still have to do for round number 2 of the weekend, round number 8 on the season. So these teams will be thrashing to try to get that done.
It's a very busy day for the touring cars. Qualified this morning, this race, and then finished the day up. So yeah, you want to have things go clean if at all possible. And obviously you see a car go off in front of you, then some of that dust comes up, and you're just trying to react. Sometimes make your best guess on if he's coming back across, what's going to happen. And this is the kind of thing that happens. And what we tend to forget sometimes is when you head into turn 1, what they call Sunset Bend here, it falls away to the apex just a little bit. And so sometimes you're turning in on a little bit of faith. And I think we may have seen some experience here from Gregory Leafouge and certainly Tony Rivera that realized, all right, we're heading in here with an awful lot of pace. We're going to check up, make sure we get through this first turn. And as a result, they come out first and second.
And Holton drops all the way back to 17th. In his 360R Audi. So to see that, he'll be excited to come back through the field. And that's sort of with Paul Holton in the points lead right now in the touring car category. Now I think that team Carl Thompson leading is going to go to, let's get as many positions as we can, but we're probably not going to be able to fight overall. Let's get a good lap for fastest race lap to start back on the front of this field here later today.
Yeah, and exactly. I mean, that's one of the big plays. The other thing to keep in note is that Holton came in with a sizable lead in this championship, and the guys who were chasing him, like Nick Wickmer, who currently is sitting in the 6th spot, Jason Kupal, who obviously has some damage, Anthony Magagnoli, those guys needed to have Holton have a problem, and maybe they got that opportunity. Now the question is, can they pounce and can Holton come back? And for more on what's going on with the potential for Paul Holton, let's get down to the pits.
Well, we're down here with Compass Racing, and we want to know what happened to Paul.
Unfortunately, he had a brake lockup on the first turn there and fell back to, looks like 16th, and he's just going to have to work his way back up to the field. But the car's fine, so we're just going to have a little more work than we planned.
All right, so the car's in good shape now. Like a lot of room to make up here on the track.
Yeah, they're going to have to do some hustling. Thanks, Joe. And, it's going to be interesting to see. But we've seen pretty good pace out of that car. I mean, you don't have a 45-point lead in the championship because it's slow. And it's just a matter now if Paul, who is a real up-and-coming talent, but still early in his career, if he can kind of focus that red mist a little bit and just turn it into speed and racecraft here, I think he's certainly capable.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And that was a good word there from Jill Beck as well, talking about that CE 360R Audi RS3 LMS of Paul Holton. And you got a pretty good guy behind the shoe. Going back to our TCA leader, it was your pole sitter, Shea Holbrook. She was able to maintain that first place there on the start for TCA. It's a good job for her. Of course, they went down into turn number 1 with a yellow flag, so not much passing once you get down to the end there. And then our TCB leader, PJ Gronke, in that Tech Sport Racing Chevy Sonic, followed by Jasper Dringler. A great start for him in his Honda Fit, who had that was actually a year ago here at Utah Motorsports Campus when his Honda Fit went upside down and stood on the roof for a little while down the straightaway, and he got that car repaired and still racing here today.
Yeah, and those qualifying runs, we had a couple of really cool developments. Like I said, Shea Holbrook, last lap, came through and jumped from, I think, 7th right to the pole. Really nailed a great lap here. And same kind of story for Kanan O'Connell. PJ Gronke had gone in front, had been there, and all of a sudden on the last lap, suddenly O'Connell's time popped up to the top of the charts. And it's funny, those two guys, Kanan and PJ, two of the nicest kids you're ever going to meet. Just nice guys. And I think they're having a really intense but fun rivalry between the two of them. And so, PJ's just going to, I'm going to have to go get him now. Yeah. And of course, they're chasing in the championship. Jake Peipel, who's made a little change here. He's back to a Honda Fit for this event.
Yeah, back in the Honda Fit. And it's one of the old, I've actually had a chance to drive that car a long time ago. So it's one of the original Honda B-Spec development cars that Honda's supporting that young driver. And Jake Peipel in 4th place now, so hopefully he can catch a couple drafts here, as it's so important in B-Spec, especially down this long front stretch here, to get that pull in front of a car to try to maximize it. It's really about a 1.5 seconds of lap time at this track with a draft in a B-Spec car, so that's much quicker you can go.
And Jeff, you'd mentioned one of the cars involved is run by the Auto Technique team, and Joe Davis has caught up with them. What's the word from their camp?
That's right. I'm here with Charlie with Auto Technic, and it looks like Nimkov is out for at least this race, huh?
Yeah, at least this race. It looks like they went wide into turn 1, and he had some contact with the orange Audi of Jason Kapal. Hopefully we can get it fixed and ready for this afternoon's race.
How bad do you think it is?
I haven't seen the car yet. The driver said it's pretty bad, but hopefully we have some spare parts so we can get it fixed up.
And how's he feeling?
A little disappointed, obviously, on the start of a race. You don't want that to happen, but, the tight competitive field here, something can always happen, so you never know.
Thanks so much. Well, we'll see if we can get back out for race number 2, but it looks like for this one, they're done for the day.
Yeah, it's a tough break, no question. Not exactly how you want things to go, as he made the point there. So, but I'll tell you what, it's amazing what these teams can do, Jeff, in a fairly short turnaround time. And that is a team that is certainly capable of doing exactly that.
Yeah, they actually have a spare car over there, so it's one of their old teammates' cars, so if they got that, they can make that happen. But here's a pretty cool car, the TMG 86 Cup car, Craig Stanton with the GG spec. Don Gardner bringing that program over here to Pirelli World Challenge, making its debut, and this is the Cup version of the Toyota 86, so great to see them come out, and this is the Cup car built. Great, no less of a talent than Craig Stanton behind the wheel.
It's impressive. Yeah, built by TMG, which is the German sporting arm of Toyota. Originally designed for, it's called the 86 Cup Series, which is another spec series that runs with VLN. And then they conceived of the idea to take this car drifting, where it's been phenomenal. And then somebody had one and took it out to an autocross and ended up setting fast time of day. And they went, maybe this thing could road race. And then Jim Jordan, who of course is the new director of touring car development, if you will, said he eyeballed the car and said, that is exactly what we're looking for in TCA. So they made this happen, brought it over. It makes its, I think it's its global road racing debut here, North American road racing debut. And Stanton qualified at 5th. I mean, it was an amazing lap for him. And it'll be interesting to see now how it races over a long race at this stage.
Got a good start, moved up to 3rd place. Yeah. The team, very experienced in Pirelli World Challenge, winning the season championship with Robert Stout.
Yep.
And the team championship there with Scion, bringing the Scion TC over here. So back to the old World Challenge history books to see that back in 2010.
I'll tell you how good this team is and how good Craig Stanton is. I believe they won one lap of America with a Toyota minivan. That's telling you they can get it done.
Yeah, not too bad at all when you do it with a minivan.
That's right. The grocery getter finishes on top. Get it like that. With a bunch of soccer kids in the back, right? So, well, there's your leader, though. The number 20 of Greg Liafouge comes in here 5th in the points, only 1 point out of 4th. And I'll tell you, early in the season, he was right there, was, one of the absolute front runners. Nick Whitmer was in the mix as well. Some of those early season races were incredibly exciting, maybe for Nick a little too much. When you think about his big off and flip at VIR, and just all these things have been happening. And as a result, you watch what Paul Holden has been able to do, and he's just kept building that. He's always been there. He's just been super consistent. Certainly has put together top finishes, but he's just always seemed to earn points, and that's a huge, huge thing in this championship. 5 podiums in 6 races. That's how it happened. There's the 91 of Whitmer. And I'll tell you, for the ST Racing team, they've had a couple of pretty significant rebuilds this year. He had his off at VIR. Samantha Tan had a big off. Oh, no, problems for Kenny Murillo. This is another team and driver we wanted to talk about. Kenny Murillo qualified third in Touring Car A in the Murillo Racing, number 33 Mazda Global MX-5 Cup car. And, of course, this is a team that fields cars in other sports car series that race, stock derived machines to great success, to championships. And this is Kenny, and I was having a chat with Ken, and we were talking about it, and I announced Ken to a national championship in the SCCA runoffs in GT3, and I went, when was that? And he went, he goes, I don't remember the exact year. Maybe we could figure it out. He said, because when I won that, he said, then Kenny was just watching the video of that race afterwards. He goes, and he's 21 now, and he was 5 then. And as soon as he said he was 5 then, he looked up at me, and we both went, ouch.
That was too long ago, yeah.
Too long ago.
You're out of fingers and toes to count that much, but of course they coming over to this and devastating for that team as well, making their debut here in the Murillo Racing Mazda Global MX-5 Cup car. So good to see them get back underway, using the old jack handle and the rolled fenders there, as they used to do when you had to get the tire clearance. Use a baseball bat. The Louisville Sluggers work the best actually with the wood, but the aluminum jack handle I think is sufficient as well.
Yeah, and when you call for it, it's all right. Bring me the convincer. One way or the other, we're going to get this straightened out here. And the nice thing is, with a 3-mile lap under caution, they came in and did that. They didn't go down a lap.
Not at all. You're going to be able to join right up behind the B-Spec cars here. You're not going to be able to go back behind TCA, as we're just getting ready up at the top of the attitudes here. That lights are out on our Honda Civic Si pace car as we're getting ready to go back underway here. Good job from our crew to get the mess cleaned up there on the start. Lost about 10 minutes, 12 minutes there. We still got, lights back on. They're still having a problem getting JT Kopel's Audi RS3 onto that tow back there, so they're trying to work on how to get it up there so lights are back on the Honda Civic Si pace car.
That's a shame. It'd be nice to get back to racing here, but you don't want to do further damage to the car and something clearly hung up. Now, interestingly, just to put it in perspective for Kenny, the lap time he turned in qualifying was a 2-minute 12.4. That put him only 0.2 off a pole, and relative to the other guys, certainly quicker than the B-Spec cars, as you would expect. But he also was running, he's got some speed on some of those other cars, and if he's right at the back of things, he might be able to come up and make a bit of a charge here. But I'll tell you, when Gregory Leafouge gets up front, he's a tough one to pass. He's just very, very smooth, very quick.
And he races multiple disciplines here across the country, and does a lot of driver coaching. But got to give a huge shout out to Tony Rivera in that Nissan 370Z. He's had a lot of heartbreak in that car. Had a big fire at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park last year. Damage at Virginia International Raceway this year with a crash in the second race. So good to see him come up and get up into the front half of this field. Got a good support there from SPL Parts as well on that Nissan 370Z. So good to see him doing up in second place. And Toby Grahovic, sort of the architect of bringing in these BMW M235i racings with his classic BMW team. 5 cars strong here this weekend. They have 8 of the cars under that classic BMW stable. I said, can you run all 8 at Circuit of the Americas coming up, your home race? And they're based just outside of Plano, Texas. And he said, man, 8's going to be hard. But there's a reason why there's number 1 on that, or a past champion for Toby Grahovic. And, great to see him step up into this. And so far, I think if we get the start here, we'll have to go run the numbers, but this could be globally the most starts ever for the BMW M235i Racing. They had 20 cars. They started the Nürburgring.
Yep.
We had 19 at Virginia International Raceway. So I think we broke that record, hopefully, for 22 starts. And you give a lot of thanks. If you like seeing these BMWs out there, go to that classic BMW pit and talk to Toby Grahovic.
All right, under these long cautions, there's always things happening in pit lane. Joe Davis, what are you hearing?
Well, that's right. I'm down here with Ken Murillo, and Kenny took a little bit of a hit, so you guys got a lot of room to make up, huh? It looks like.
Yeah, it's really tough. We're happy to be back at World Challenge, and we've been really happy with the Pirelli tires. It's been great, and the car's been top of the sheet. Kenny's been doing a great job, and we're excited. We just talked about staying out of trouble, and he just said they just came out of nowhere and jumped the rear tire on him. And so we'll see what happens. We're just one more race to go today. So
that fender was rubbing a little bit. You guys took care of business there?
Yeah, we tried to clear it up as much as we could, but he's reporting it's still rubbing. Wheels a little off center, so we'll see what we got.
So a little bit of extra handicap to get back up to the front.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, and the race is going to be shortened, too, with the yellow. So.
All right, well, they're encouraged just the same to be back on the track. Back up to you guys.
Thanks very much. You know, another guy that I think maybe to watch here is the number 12 of Mason Filippi. He topped one of the practice sheets when qualifying unfolded. He didn't quite get the time he wanted, ended up back in 9th, but I think he's got opportunity here to work his way up. There's another look at young Mr. Murillo with that little wrinkle at the back of the car. But as I said, you know, really ought to be able to clear some of these cars relatively quickly. And if he can do that, I think he can get right back up into play. You look at the amount of time left here, we're talking, that's an opportunity. You might be able to push the door of the top 5 in class.
Get pretty close. Yeah, I think he'll do that. He's no slouch behind the wheel as well to be able to work that. But saw Jeff Sexton there, a quick shot of him, and he was running a Global MX-5 Cup car at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Had a huge incident there, so good to see him come back here into Pirelli World Challenge competition, right back there at the back of the field. So not sure if those were the 2 cars that were involved in the incident that caused that body damage there to Kenny Murillo, but looks like good to see the pace car lights are officially off now on that Honda Civic Si pace car, so we can get ready to go back under green.
And the rule is, once the lights go out, when you get into the VP Racing Fuels acceleration zone, the pace car will before that drive off that leader at the time, which is Leah Fouge, needs to maintain the speed that the pace car has set, usually around 50 miles an hour. Let the pace car get away, and then he gets into that VP Racing Fuels acceleration zone. You can start to roll into the throttle. You can't be accelerating and braking and the like. Once you go, you've got to go. Now he's heading into the complex called Wind Up and Release that leads onto this long front straight. And that is now into the VP Racing Fuels acceleration zone, and he's gone.
Yeah, I was going to say, Tony Rivera getting holed up there. Toby Grahovic going, probably screaming in his helmet, go, 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 go. You're holding me up here. So, but still, watch out for that Ruud right behind him. He's sitting there in 4th with his great start, number 81 BMW.
Yep, he's doing a superb job. Great to see it. And Tony Rivera, you talked about it, some of the problems he's had. Part of it has been buried codes in the ABS system of that. And he said, we think we've sorted it out. And look at Grahovic wasting no time. Down to the inside, up into the 2nd spot, demoting Rivera to 3rd. And there's a look at the 99 of, tell you, qualified a little farther back than he wanted, did Carl Whitmer, but he's made a nice move up the order as well, almost into the top 10. And there's a look at brother Nick sitting in that 6th spot, trying to run down Mr. Ruud.
And it is hot here today, so these Pirelli P0 tires will instantly be up to temperature. As Tony Rivera looking down to the inside here in the Black Rock hairpin, trying to see if he can make it wide. A little early here to battle, I think, and kind of defend that position for Grahovic. He's probably going to let Tony go. Nope, he's not. He's going to stick it right back there to the inside. Just as I say that, he says, nope, we're racing. It's 40 minutes. We got to go.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I think it's that reduced time is exactly why he went after it. And Tony said his car is really quick. He said, you know, we've been able to solve the codes. We can go racing. But the more these two battle, Grahovic and Rivera, it's going to let Leah Fouge get away. And Grahovic sitting 8th in the points. So he'd like to be able to do something about this and close up. But Leah Fouge has just made good. Ruud really crossed up, feeling the heat from Whitmer right behind him. Ruud in that white and pale blue machine, the number 80 right there. Excuse me, that's Magagnoli. Sorry about that. Boy, has he had a restart.
Yeah, he got a great restart there. We didn't see him come. As, you know, I think those 2 cars are under the same stable.
Right.
Road Motor Oil, and then the other one is Winding Road Racing, of course, for Ruud.
Look at this move by Whitmer.
Right down to the inside here in the windup. Whitmer had to get all over the binders. Did not quite present himself there to make it a pass. So you got to say, wow, he really shut the door on him. Well, technically it was Magagnoli's line to have, and Nick Whitmer did not present himself enough to make that pass and get racing room.
And so Ruud has slipped back now a couple of spots. Let's see what the official margins are at the line. Leah Fouge, a 2-second lead over Grahovic, who's got Rivera now looking a little bit defensive back into the touring car A area. Craig Stanton has fought his way up in this first couple of laps under racing again, up into 3rd in that machine, that beautiful TMG 86 Cup car. It's the 69, I think, of Anthony Girazzi.
Yeah, the SAC Racing Audi. It looks like he has some problems there as the tires are a little dusty on that Audi RS3 LMS. But here's your TCA leader, Shea Holbrook, pulled about a 2.5-second lead now over your 2nd place in that TMG 86 Cup car. Shea, wow, way off there, just trying to put that stuff down. Craig Stanton will take good advantage of that. He'll see that and want to catch up. You can see the gap. It was 2.5 seconds at the line, and now it's within sight.
Well, and once she dirtied up her tires, and when Girazzi comes through, depending upon when he does it, if he does it at an inopportune time for Shea, and ruins her momentum a little bit. There, I mean, that's the margin. Stanton and boy, Goulart all over him. He's looking down to the inside. Stanton having none of that. And I'll tell you what, that was a secondary move that could have been called in reaction. And look at that. There goes Girazzi, and he got inside Shea right at the wrong part of Blackrock. And these two sitting second and third, Jeff, are now well less than a second away.
And there it comes, just from Brian Till, warning to car 8-6, a move in response. Now, this is Craig Stanton's first 48 in the Pirelli World Challenge. So you just got to remind him, you're allowed you're not allowed to move. You're allowed to place your car where you want to be. If you can go to the inside or the outside, but you have to maintain that. And if the guy's right behind you and you're placed and he moves on you, you cannot move to block or make a secondary move to go back the other way.
Right. I mean, basically the way that they state the rule, you can put your car anywhere you want. You can drive whatever line you want. You cannot move in reaction to somebody behind you, period. Right?
Yep, exactly.
So, and Craig certainly did. As they said, I think they'll give him a couple of those, moves that he had there, just those two, to say, look, we know you're new. Don't do it again, or we're going to have to bring you in. But, boy, they have absolutely closed up onto the back of Shea here. And I think she's just struggling. As good as these Pirelli P0s are, when they're covered in Tuella dust, they ain't going to be gripping too much for a few corners anyway.
Now, I think if Elevon Goulart was, I'm not going to say he's not smart, but I think the smart thing to do here would be just to go nose to tail with that 86 and kind of close that gap a little bit. Shea Holbrook, definitely the handling struggling on that car. She's had limited adjustability on that car here this weekend. When they did the test day, it was a completely stock suspension. She was waiting for her iBox suspension to come for that Honda Civic Si, and she finally got it, so they don't have a lot of prep time or setup time on the suspension. Of course, a brand new car really got built by the Shea Racing crew in 3 weeks to get her ready to come out here for TCA here today.
It's great to look at Stanton just dive into the inside, and that was because he saw Shea have that moment the previous lap, and he thought, boy, if I can dive to the inside, get in her mirrors, just have her turn in a little late, maybe she'd do it again. Shea, she doesn't make that mistake twice and stayed right put there. Interesting to see some of the cars as they get up and do the approach to turn one, driving off onto the almost the pit lane exit road.
I think that was Shea again.
It sure was. Oh, and look at that. Goulart, that's that little kink, they call it scream, and there's a reason, because I think it's easy. You're inside the car and you get it wrong and you start screaming in your helmet. Stanton is just right now trying to get Shea to make some sort of a mistake, but he's compromising his entry into the corners, and that gives Goulart great runs out, doesn't it?
It sure does, and that's allowing Matthew Fosnot now to close in on this group as well as Elevon Goulart right down to the inside.
Nice.
Can he clear Stanton? He does. What a great move that was. Very late, saw the opening, and put that Mazda MX-5 right there.
I think that's because Goulart saw Matt Fastnot coming, and they had a little inter-team squabble down in turn one earlier in the weekend, and he went, yeah, Matt's too fast, and I want some buffer here. That's a great move by Goulart.
You see Tom O'Gorman there in fifth in the second of the Shea Racing Honda Civic SIs, and Shea using every bit of that attitude down there. That was the second S2 attitude there, coming down into the Tuella turn now.
Up front, just to remind you, it's Greg Leofouge, but he's opened up a little bit of a margin over Toby Grahovic, who's got another nice margin to Rivera. So not missing anything in that battle. This is such a compelling scrap right now. We want to stay with this. And Shea Holbrook from that pole doing a great job. Here's the battle, always good in Touring Car B. PJ Gronke has gone to the lead in his 25 Tech Sport Chevy Sonic. Actually, Jasper Drengler had gone around Kanan O'Connell in the team car to PJ's. PJ's got the white hood, Kanan the black hood there, but clearly O'Connell has been able to sneak back around Drengler.
And good run for PJ to be able to pull ahead on that group and get that gap that he did, as you see PJ leading over Kanan. And then Jasper Drengler really has opened up this year in that Honda Fit, able to pull up now. You see him drafting Kanan O'Connell there, trying to see if he can battle for that second place. Craig Stanton once again turning in early in that TMG 86 Cup car, trying to get down there in turn number one.
Boy, he is scrapping it right now. I love it. And Fosnot just sort of sitting there watching. And these four, just the pace of this battle has taken them a bit clear of O'Gorman right now, who's had to come up through a couple cars here. But here, this is the section of track where Goulart, that Mazda is so nimble and works so well. And of course, remember that this Honda Civic is a front drive car. So as the race goes on, you ask a lot of those front tires, and these Mazdas have such balance, Jim.
Yeah, they really are. It's almost a 50-50 perfect weight split. The Global Cup car you see here racing with the roof on them now is compared to the MX-5 Cup race series where the open cockpits are. But it's really like they call it a Global MX-5 because it gives you multiple areas you can race the car. And it's really great that a lot of manufacturers are doing that with the TCR cars now, where it's a global platform. Manufacturers build the cars, they support it, similar to the TMG 86 Cup car, that not only you can race it here at Pro World Challenges that are series worldwide, I think that's also going to help the resale value for these cars now. Now they're worth more because you can take this car and go race it in other places. It really helps the racers, helps the club racer, and helps the pro racer moving up the ladder here, as we see in our touring car category.
It's nice to know you can go to a series, just show up, put it through tech, and you're good, no questions. And we've been watching the great job Craig Stanton is doing, and he is under attack right now by Matt Fasnacht in that number 74 Mazda. But what a debut for the TMG Toyota 86 Cup car. And Joe, they got to be pleased down there in the DG Spec team.
That's right. I think Sean Morris has some good things to say about how things are going so far for Stanton.
Yeah, they're going great. I think Craig was up in second position last time I checked, and he's coming around right now. He's just right on the tail, and he's being attacked by one of the Miatas. It looks like here going down the front straight. So
feeling real good though.
I'm sorry.
You guys are feeling real good.
Yeah, we're feeling good. Exactly. Yeah, I'm sorry. I got lots of stuff going on in my ears. I got race control. I got the car. I got us talking. So yeah.
They're busy, but they're very, very positive right now about a good finish today.
Well, and they should be. I mean, Stanton had slipped back to third, just got a run on Elevan Goulart, who got around Shea Holbrook in the latter part of that lap. And then that Honda's got pretty good straight line speed. And Shea was able to just sort of outhandle him down that long straight and get back in front. But, Goulart, look at that aggressive move. I don't think Shea even had an idea that move was coming. That was a thing of beauty, Jeff.
And that's where you said the Mazda MX-5 was so good right there on that exit of the scream, what you called it over there. That's why you keep screaming in your helmet when you get through there. But to see Shea was actually behind Elevan, you saw in the straightaway, and then drove around that Mazda MX-5, and that's just a balanced performance. Mazda's a better handling car, so the Civic gets a little bit more horsepower. It'll be better on the straightaways, and it's going to start struggling here on the corners.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see if Shea can stay close enough now to Goulart, if she'll be able to do that again on that front straight. The thing is that she's got to really drive now and stay close enough to be able to do it. So far, Jeff, she's doing exactly that.
She's doing just that, but I just saw a shot in the background there in sixth place. Kenny Murillo right on the backside of Tom O'Gorman now. Talk about coming from behind. Tire rub or no tire rub. He's working his way up through the field. The fastest TCA car right now on the track at a 1:12.672. So if we go back to doing pole positions here for race number 2, he's got the fastest race lap, and now he's shortly battling for a top 5 here in the TCA.
Yeah, and he is coming after O'Gorman right there in the back. We got 3 great battles in the top 5 of TCA. And there comes Kenny Murillo, and that 94 attack on O'Gorman, that 33 of Murillo really flying here. But we're also curious as to what's going on at the front here. Is Holbrook close enough to be able to make that move and just drive by?
Yeah, you see Kenny Murillo pressuring him there on the better handling part. Now we'll get to the straightaway here, and you should see, unless they can get that draft from Kenny Murillo, Tom O'Gorman should be able to pull just a little bit of a gap. Kenny's going to desperately want to be there. Here goes back to our battle for the lead. You see battle for first, battle for third, and battle for fifth.
And look at that, the 70 of Goulart protected. Shea pops to the outside, but Goulart, that nimble Miata, down to the inside of the Honda Civic. Can he make it stick? He does. Boy, now it's going to be tough for Shea because she's got to absolutely stay glued to that very nimble car. The one thing that might help her here is the fact that there were a lot of laps under caution. Those front Pirelli P0s might not be taking as much of a pounding here.
Yeah, a little over 10 minutes, so she's going to want to push as hard as she can, where normally you would save and conserve so you have something at the end. Now she can go full speed, but really it's going to allow Elevan right now to pull that gap, but he's not really pulling that far away from her. Just, you see, just nose to tail right now, like you always say, that proverbial blanket over the top 2 cars.
Yeah, it is as close as it gets. Ooh, Goulart a little wide, actually, had a bobble. Shea gets up along the outside. Is she going to be able to make it turn in underneath? No, Goulart there. And that got Shea a little offline, and here comes Stanton. And he's broken clear of Fasnacht right now, Jeff. Oh, and Murillo has cleared O'Gorman. He is coming.
Yeah, they are going there as you see Shea to the outside of Witchcraft. You can't make a pass there. She's heading up into the attitudes. Now it's going to become of a three-way battle as Craig Stanton back on the back bumper of that Honda Civic SI.
Boy, he is just. He knows what he needs to do. He needs to gap that Honda as much as he possibly can here.
What a great pass there was, Elvan Goulart for the lead.
Oh boy, look at this. Stanton is so close, and this is exactly what Goulart needed, is Stanton to come up and start occupying Shea's attention here. So she starts defending just a little bit, shallowing her entry up into a corner, etc. And that just slows it up, and Goulart now has been able to build a big enough gap that Shea's not going to be able to just haul him in down the front straight here. Now the question is can she hold off Stanton as we're into our final 8.5 minutes thereabouts. There's your leader, Leah Fouge, and he has been picture perfect, Jeff, up by 4 seconds right now as he climbs up into the attitudes. Still Rivera in that red Nissan sitting in second, just making an appearance way wide.
I just saw that and I said, that's a heck of a shot with the camera. I go, wow, Rivera looks a little wide there and just missed that turn in. I don't know if he lost front grip or just missed the braking zone. I don't think you downshift there. I think you just kind of hit the brakes a little bit, get the car to rotate up there in the attitudes, and Rivera just missed it now. Can you try to go back and battle for second place?
Yeah, I mean, Grahovic was able to get through. He's got Anthony Magagnoli right behind him in the number 80 Rooster Hall racing machine. And then the very impressive Jacob Ruud for Winding Road, sitting right there in another of those BMWs. We'll see now whether Tony has got anything to come back at Grahovic.
Yeah, I don't think so. Toby's going to be a hard guy to pass. I think that BMW's got the snot down the straightaways, and Rivera, don't get me wrong, that Nissan 370Z's got some power, but these BMWs, you see Rivera just trying to get some air in that front radiator tucking out.
You're saying Rivera's just, it's not quick enough.
It's not quick enough. Yeah.
Gotcha, okay. Oh, look at this here. Is now the two of Jason Clooney coming up and taking a look at Ruud down into turn one. And Ruud, that was absolutely perfect. Just put that car right dead center of the track, never moved, let Clooney move around behind him. That's how the race director and the stewards want to see a driver defend. Nice and clean.
That number 2 BMW, normally driven by Gino Carini, unable to make the call here this weekend. So it's good to see Jason step into that car here this weekend and doing a superb job sitting there in 6th place, battling for a top 5.
Yeah, just really impressive here. Some drivers that don't run here full season coming in and putting on a really strong show. Look at Holton fighting his way up. He's now up into the top 10. He just made the pass on Ari Belo for 9th, and he's closing on Rafael for the 8th spot here. That's a great comeback drive. I mean, obviously, we know that car's got speed, no question about it.
Yeah, fastest race lap as well at 2:05.375. So strategy there with Carl Thompson, Jill Beck there at C360R. They know how to call it. Just get a good lap, just get a banker. Now start working your way back to the field. Get as many points as you can. Expect him to probably be in the 7th or 8th place as Rivera loses another place now, starting to drop back as he's lost 2, going back to 5th place now.
Yeah, the 81 right there, able to just sort of drive around the exit of that 7th corner called Witchcraft that leads up into the attitudes. And I wonder if Tony was just a little bit cautious after the moment he had in the attitudes the previous lap and was a little slower off the corner, and it just allowed Ruud to just slice around him.
Well, I know when lower air temperature up here in the Z's on the 370s, once they start to get hot in a lot of the computer controlled cars, then they start pulling timing from the cars. You start losing horsepower. And I got to think the way that I saw Tony pulling out there, trying to get some air in that radiator, that car's running hot, and they get about 225, 230, it starts pulling timing from the engine. You start losing a lot of power on these cars.
Yeah, thin air, not a friend to cooling in any kind of a race car. Now he's got to see if he can fend off Jason Clooney. Clooney just pulls way down to the inside and just easily drives by him. So I think you might be spot on, Jeff. I think now Tony's going to see if he can utilize the brakes on the Nissan and couldn't quite stay close enough. Yeah, I think he's hurting for a little power. Ooh, hear those tires complaining from Mr. Ruud, but he held on to it. That was rude.
Yeah, they can talk to you, but when they start screaming at you, then you got a problem. Looking back at our TCB leaders, it still is PJ Gronke, Kanan O'Connell, Jasper Dringler, 1, 2, and 3. But there is somebody else dropping the wheels off. You just do it one little chance. And Shea Holbrook, there you go in TCA, back ahead of Elvan Goulart. And Kenny Morello up here for a battle for 3rd place.
Ooh. Late move down to the inside, and Stanton gave him room but didn't make it easy, and Murillo, that was a couple of drivers that, it was close. Oh, and a big wiggle by Stanton, and here comes Murillo, but Stanton's got the inside lane.
Yeah, Craig's really doing the handling on that car. Now, they've tested a lot in this car, but haven't had a chance to race it totally there as Kenny Murillo, an outside pass into release onto the front stretch. Which car is going to have the most power here now? As you see Craig Stanton getting the edge a little bit in that TMG 86.
And that's, like you said, when you got a car that's a little bit heavier than another car, it gets a little bit more power, and it shows here. And look at Stanton open the radius up as much as he can, getting over in that pit exit road for the West Course pit lane, using every allowable bit of racetrack here. But now that Murillo is hounding Stanton, that has allowed our duo up front, Holbrook and Goulart, to get a little bit of a gap here. And what a return drive, if you will, by Shea Holbrook. It looked like Goulart gapped her big time, and she just put her head down and came right back after him.
You see Matthew Fox not dropping a couple wheels off yet, but I don't think Ella Von Goulart wants to give up. Still about 3.5 minutes to go, so probably about 2 laps here before we see the white flag as they come back again. And Foss not doing a great job. The two guys in those SAC Racing Mazda MX-5 Cup cars, really, I think it's going to be a battle between those two teammates for the season-long championship in our TCA category. And so far, Ella Von Goulart in second place has the advantage. But here's our TCB leader, Kanan O'Connell, closing that gap a little bit on PJ Grunke.
He's coming after him. We've seen this dynamic before, having one of these guys as a lead, thinks they're good for the race, and then the teammate comes after him. Going into Blackrock, I just watched Goulart. There were 4, 5, 6 pumps on his brakes before he got into the turn. Nobody else was doing that. I wonder if he might have a braking issue on that car that's just not letting him attack as much.
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen there. As Paul Holton, you see back on him, he's still there in 9th place, but sitting with our fastest race lap. We'll start from P1 again tomorrow if nobody does it here. Just got word from Race Control 2 for Gregory Leafouge, white flag next time by, so they will be going one more to go when they come back around again. So still plenty of race time as you see the dust and dirt all over that RS3 LMS. But saw some damage there to the right side door of Paul Holton. I'm not sure if that might have been a coincidence on the first lap. Maybe there might have been some contact that sent Paul off to the right side.
Yeah, I don't think, well, if there was, we certainly didn't see it. I wonder if it was maybe just something coming up through the pack. He's been absolutely aggressive and flying here. And there is Leafouge, as he has just been spot on here for this entire race at this stage. So obviously it's going to be interesting to see who ends up on the front row, assuming that Holton hangs on in that race day foundation, Pfaff Audi. Will it be Leafouge? Well, it'll be interesting to see who gets that second quick lap at this stage. But Leafouge right now, he's just worried about wins and points, and he has been perfect. I mean, he's got that lead up to about 4.5 seconds, Jeff, and it's just stayed there for the last 4 or 5 laps.
He has, and it started in the season doing the full year with Steve Cameron Racing. Great support there from Redline Oil and the Prime Energy drink. So great support and great team to be behind him. Toby Grohovic second. It's really the top 5 cars here, all BMWs in that M235i Racing.
Yeah, and the white flag is out. Saw it being thrown for Leafouge. Feeds it down into turn 1. It's a great sequence of corners. Turn 1, then into a very quick right-hander sweeper, if you will. Then into turn 3, another quick left-hander, and then into that sort of an increasing radius kink at the end of it. That leads you into Blackrock. If you can get it right and the guy in front of you or gal in front of you bobbles a little bit, Blackrock is a great overtaking area, but you can't do it if you mess up 3 and 4, that's for sure. Well, look at Holbrook. She's been able to stretch that margin just a little bit.
Yeah, she's got to see if she can just hold it together here for about a lap and a half. And we saw the, Gregory Leafouge get the white flag to get that 1 lap to go. John Weisberg's been sitting here in our booth here all race long. The guy that won here last year, he didn't get to see the white flag. He wasn't leading for that one and be able to make that last lap pass coming down the straightaway. And hopefully we'll get a chance to talk to him tomorrow, But appreciate John coming into the booth here, and we'll try to get a word in with him here tomorrow for or later today, for TC. But look at this.
Big
Jasper
moment
Drangler.
for Shea as she got underneath and got Drangler between herself and Goulart as she's coming up to the white flag. And Drangler nicely recognized her. Did he? Yep, he opened it up just enough. But that cost Goulart maybe a couple of car lengths. That could be huge. And Stanton's going to get trapped here for just a moment. Drangler tightens the exit up and lets Stanton go. And did Murillo get enough of a run?
Yeah, we don't know. Murillo is going to be the guy I'm going to watch for that final podium spot. And here comes Gregory Leafouge out of the Tuella turn down into turn number 12 now, or sorry, 13 there, the clubhouse corner.
Yep.
Going to go through the windup and then on to release.
2 corners to go. What a story for Leafouge. This would be his 2nd win on the season. Couldn't come at a more timely point. Trying to do something with his championship. Onto the front straight he goes. The Stephen Cameron crew elated. You can hear him in the background. We know where Joe's hanging right now. And there it is. Checkered flag. BMW wins here on a historic day in front of more BMW M235 IRs in a single race than has ever started before. And Leafouge leads him home. Defending series champion Toby Grahovic into 2nd. Anthony Magagnoli into 3rd. Look at this battle. PJ Gronke with Kanan O'Connell right behind him here. Boy, and this is absolutely huge. Kanan has had a win in this championship. PJ has been very strong, led the points up until the last weekend last year, but has yet to get a win. He's super consistent, and he almost had one, he thought, at his home track at Canadian. Oh, and Murillo in the background taking a run, and he got all crossed up trying to come around on Fasnacht. They both got crossed up. Murillo dropped the tires in, and he dropped all the way back into 5th. Fasnacht attacking big time on Stanton. PJ gets a little bit of a break now with Goulart between himself and O'Connell. Now Goulart pops through, and here comes Stanton. Stanton going to get in between the 2 of them as they get into the Tuella turn. Very quick left-hander here. People being wide. Ooh, and look at that again. Murillo got a great run. Fasnacht tried to come over, and Murillo was already there. Oh, and a huge squeeze play here. And Murillo wanted to take advantage of Gronke. And look at Fasnacht dive to the apex here and wind up. And right now, Gronke is in a Mazda sandwich. Oh boy, onto the front straight we go. Murillo is through on Fasnacht. What's the story here in Touring Car B? Here comes Shea Holbrook. Pole, drop back to 2nd, then gets the win. But for Touring Car B, what's the story for Touring Car B? To the line they come. Watch for it. Gronke gets the win. Oh my, what a great story. PJ gets his first career win. What an amazing story. Some great battling. And what a remarkable drive up through the pack after that pit stop under caution for young Kenny Murillo. Ends up 4th in Touring Car A, just off the podium from dead last. That's not too shabby, folks. Wow. What a last lap. Holbrook, Goulart, Stanton. And what a debut for the Toyota TMG 86 Cup car. Qualified 5th, ends up on a podium. And there is your overall and Touring Car winner, with Grahovic and Magagnoli going to be joining him on the podium. And in Touring Car B, PJ Gronke, Kanan O'Connell, and Jasper Drengler really put in a good race today as well. Great to see. Gotta love this. Look at that field coming down into pit lane. Looking to see a 2:05.3 by Holton is your best lap. Looking to see who might have Leafouge as a 2:05.5. I don't see anybody in Touring Car with a lap better than a 2:05.5, so I think it'll be Holton and Leafouge on the front row. Grahovic a 2:06.4, Might has a 2:06.47, a 2:06.45 by Jason Clooney. Good lap. Wow, good stuff. What great racing, as we always have in Touring Car. Just absolutely stunning stuff here as Grahovic leading the field, or Leafouge leading the field with Grahovic. You can just see that red BMW. And for Toby, sure, he would have obviously liked to have a little bit more, but the tough start he had to the season, believe it or not, for the defending champion, this is his first podium of the year. So great news for him. Great to see it. And also, first podium of the season for Anthony Magagnoli in that Rooster Hall Racing BMW. So that's really cool here. Taking a look here. Top 5 all BMW 235 IRs. Rivera in the Nissan. First non-BMW. And then Holton ending up in 10th. He was 9th as he was starting that last lap, and he ended up in 10th. It looks like Whitmer was able to take a piece back out of him and gets through. So nice job there. But here is your winner, Greg Leafouge, coming over from the West Coast that he calls home. Very busy guy, driving lots of different series, drives in all of them incredibly well. And Joe Davis is there with him. Joe?
That's right. Greg, you pretty much owned this race. Tell me how you feel about this track.
I really like this track. The nice flowing nature really suits my driving style, and the car was really awesome. The balance was really good. The Cameron Racing guys,
I didn't want to just jump in.
Prime 19 Red Line Oil car was just great today. So we got a little bit lucky with all the snafu that happened at the start, but after that, it was just a matter of clicking off the laps and managing the gap.
Well, it was a great win. Congratulations. Leah Fouge takes it home at Utah Motorsports Campus.
Yeah, he did. Took it home and made a point with an absolutely great run. Like I said, got that margin up to about 4.5 seconds. Just stayed there. Last couple of laps, slipped it up just a little bit, let it get down to about 3.6. Managed it beautifully. A lot of experience behind the wheel of that Stephen Cameron Racing BMW, and behind the helm of the team with Stephen Cameron. They understand it. What a story here. Shea Holbrook, after starting the season in touring car, working the program with this new Honda Civic Si, HPD and Honda, said, hey, will you take your Bubba Burger and Lucas Oil support, and we'd like to have 2 of these things running in touring car A. Being a good understanding company person, she said, you bet. Last lap, Joe, put it on pole in qualifying, and after an early off, comes back with a win. Unbelievable.
That's right, Shea. You had some real challenges out there going off the track, but you came back and pulled it off at the end.
Yeah, actually, that was a lot tougher than qualifying. We had a really great car for qualifying. I think temperature had a lot to do with that here at Utah Motorsport Campus. But I am so beyond myself and my team. I just can't believe we're back up on podium on the top step in this brand new 2017 Honda Civic Si. Bubba Burger, this is a great weekend for us. We're doing a cookout momentarily right after here. I'm starving, so I really need a Bubba Burger. But to get Bubba Burger, Lucas Oil, Coney Shock Absorbers, and all of our affiliates, as well as HPD. HPD has done such an amazing job at building this platform, and they have given, thank you, buddy, and they have given me such a great car. When we got this car 4 weeks ago, we didn't have a lot of time to get it together. I came here on a stock suspension the first 2 sessions, and to be back with this HPD setup, I got to thank the guys, the crew. I mean, my Go Fast guys. I'm just the person behind the wheel trying to make it happen. It was definitely a tough race. Made a couple mistakes. I think we went, a little wrong on tire pressure, but we're trying next time too.
Well, she got on Motorsports Campus, but came back for the win.
That she did, and when a guy with the experience and reputation of Craig Stanton makes a point of walking over and saying, nice job, you have done something, and that's exactly what happened there. That was a great drive by Shea Holbrook. She's been such a supporter of the touring car ranks for a lot of years here, and nice to see her, as she said, back on the top step of the podium. And I think that's a huge story, the short time to build that car up, and then having to get to the racetrack and then make your suspension changes to the car. That's a huge story as well. And speaking of huge stories, down in Touring Car B, I'll tell you what, he's been close to championships, he's been close to wins, and it happened at Utah Motorsports Campus. PJ Gronke standing by with Joe Davis, and this man is a winner.
That's right, PJ. This is now going to be your favorite track. Why? Because it's the place where you got your first win here at Utah Motorsports Campus.
Absolutely. This was such an amazing weekend. I can't thank the Tech Sport Racing team enough. My sponsors, Verax.ca, Tundra, Prestone, and Cabanos Comfort Food. These guys did everything to get me here. They've believed in me through all the years. And to deliver my first win in the series there couldn't be a better feeling. It is out of this world. Kanan was hunting me down at the end. I got a little bit worried, but I was strategically using traffic to kind of pick my way through and give me a little bit of a gap, and it came down to that at the end, and it was so exciting, and we get to do it this afternoon again with a standing start. Can't wait.
Can't wait, and all it took him was just that little bit to get the win, and he's proud of that little bit right here.
And we have to explain the first win was at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park with some weird things ending at the end of a race. He thought he had the win, and then eventually they said no, they had to revert to the previous lap, and he never got the win. And he said, you have won it at home at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. He's Canadian, would have been great. But I tell you, he finally got a win. He's truly one of the nicest people you will ever meet in your life. And to see him get that win. And I got to think, he was using traffic a little bit, but when he had all those cars in TCA racing up around him, he no doubt had to be feeling a little bit of terror at that point, because if one of them had touched him, that win goes away again. And it all worked out. What a great story. And as he said, touring cars have their second race of this doubleheader weekend here. I love this shot at Utah Motorsports campus with the mountains in the background. Later this afternoon, and it's a standing start, so you don't want to miss that. And in between it, folks, we've got Sprint X with the full-on supercars of the GT cars. We also have GTS racing. So we've got a busy afternoon here on our global webcast. So whatever you do, don't go too far away from your computer, TV, whatever it is you're watching on your smartphone, because we're going to be gone for very brief periods before we go racing. And take a look at that. The Oquirrh Mountains, just phenomenal.